everybody. Welcome back to the Clintonville Slasher. I'm your host, Rich Frank Wilkes, and welcome to the show, you fucking nerds. Today, I want to talk about a TV series that came out in 2024 called TEACUP. It is a Peacock original. So, the characters, the whole show starts off with this woman, and she's running through the woods, and she's got these binding straps like zip ties around her wrist, and she's sharpening them against a rock, and she's really sharpening them against the rock. She's trying to cut them off, and she's mumbling something about like murder maker and the assassin, and there's somebody coming after her. She's just mumbling like a bunch of words together, and she's got the binding straps off, and then there's this dog chasing her. Then it kind of pans off into a different direction. And the show starts off with this family named, their names are Maggie and James. And Maggie and James are in an estranged marriage. They have two children. Their daughter's name is Merle, and their son's name is Arlo. And so the four of them live on this farm, and Maggie is a horse trainer, and she specializes in horses. Helping fixing, like a veterinarian sort of thing. So they also have in their home, they also have James's mom, Elaine, who is suffering from MS, and she has multiple sclerosis, so she shakes a lot. And so that kind of sets up the characters that way. And then the second episode, in comes Ruben and his wife, Verlena. Their son Nicholas, and they have a horse, and this horse is like messed up. They come screaming into the farm, and it's like after hours, and they're trying to figure out what's wrong with this horse. This horse had banged his face against a fence and ended up getting a wood chip in its side. And it all the animals are like freaking out, not just their horse, not this the neighbor's horse, but also their horses as well. James and Maggie's horses are freaking out. Dogs are freaking out. Another set of neighbors, their names are Donald and Mary, I believe her name is. Donald and his wife, they show up later, and they are looking for their dog, and they're kind of freaking out, like looking for the dog, and they end up finding the dog in the woods. As all of the characters are together in the second episode, weird shit starts happening. The lights in the on the farm start freaking out, flickering on and off, and they're going nuts, and the animals are going crazy, and none of the cars work, and they're trying to figure out, like, Arlo ends up going missing. And on that second episode, he goes into the woods and he goes missing. And he runs into the lady that was trying to cut her binding straps from before that time. And anyway, they're trying to figure out. So at one point, James and Ruben are actually in the barn, and they're like, "Well, let's saddle up the horses and we can ride out of here." Well, they see a car in the distance, and they start running out there, and they see this car in the distance, and this guy's wearing a gas mask, and he doesn't say anything to them, but he has drawn a blue line around the entire property, and he holds up a sign that says, "Don't cross the blue line." And as they're arguing with him, they're not really understanding what's going on. He just says, "Don't cross the blue line, don't trust anybody," gets in his car and takes off. He says, "Don't cross the blue line." Well, before they go in there, Donald had gone into the woods to go look to see who took Arlo. Arlo is eventually found. He's got all these like bruises and shit on his arms, and he's like trying to figure out what happened to him. He said he was grabbed, but he also starts muttering this weird shit that the lady was muttering. And when she attacked Arlo in the woods, she like their eyes met, and like this weird glow, like rainbow fluorescent colors, like flashed across their eyes. So what happens is after that, Donald tries to go in the woods and finds him, and finds the lady in the woods, and that she was attacked by an animal, like a dog. So the dog Donald ends up tripping over this lady and loses his firearm out there, and the dog is like chasing him through the woods. So as Donald's running through the woods, that's when the car guy is talking to James and Reuben and is talking about this blue line. So when Donald runs across into where they are, this dog attacks him and he ends up throwing the dog across the blue line. And the dog full on fucking melts, just like skeleton, fucking folds backwards, and he's just a pile of goop. And it leaves the audience, it left me like, what the fuck is going on? Excuse me. Anyway, then Donald's wife, she ends up getting fed up with this shit. She's like, fuck this. I'm out of here. I'm not fucking dealing with this. And she goes and runs towards the blue line, and they all try stopping her. And Donald goes and reaches for his wife to pull her across the blue line. And she ends up melting, but his hand gets across the blue line, and his hand is melted and fucked up, and they're totally freaking out and they don't know what's going on. At some point in time, I won't ruin every episode. I won't go through every episode just because it would be, I don't want to ruin this all. But at some point in time, I'm going to ruin a lot of it, but I don't want to ruin every episode. But anyway, at some point in time, they find out the mask guy's name is McNabb. And then the McNabb has two partners. He has Travis and another guy named Lieutenant Olson. Now, Lieutenant Olson is not a police officer, and these guys are not, they're part of a crew, and they're true believers. And what happens is a lot of meteor showers are coming into Earth. And it turns out that there is these visitors that ride on these comets, and they can jump from person to person. And there's a good one called the Heretic, and then there's the bad one who's called the Assassin. Now, the Assassin and the Heretic can jump from person to person. But when the Assassin and the Heretic find each other, the Assassin sets up a trap. And he sets up this tree, and this tree puts out this big trap that you can only go so far. And if you cross this a certain spot, the tree will activate this sound wave that will basically melt you apart. So Reuben or McNabb was trying to figure out trying to help them by drawing the blue line and telling them not to cross it. What I thought about this show, excuse me again, I'm getting a cold and it sucks. I liked it. I had a lot of doubts when I was watching, because the first two episodes are fucking amazing. The first two episodes, it leaves you in this awe-inspired, holy fuck, what the hell did I just watch? It really sucks you in. But by the third or fourth episodes, you find out it's aliens, and you're like, oh, okay, that's kind of lame. But it really does have a very cool cast, a very good writing, and it was fucking fantastic. The ending to the series, or the ending to the very first season, is fucking phenomenal. It's one of those things that you just don't see what happens, and it's I didn't see this coming, and it really leaves a big cliffhanger. And I love sci-fi horror films. There's a lot of great ones. This show had a lot of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It had a lot of They Live. It had a lot of The Thing. It was very inspired by those films. So you could totally tell that this show was like that. And it had some lame moments, and it has some character development that needs to be worked on. As far as Reuben's character, who is this tough dude, and he's a serious guy, but I think that the way his character was written, at times he felt like it was pushed too far. But for me, I dug the show as a whole. I didn't think it was that weak. There are certain parts, certain characters that need to be worked on. But as far as that goes, I thought it was a diamond in the rough. I think it's a really great show. And anybody who's never seen this, you should definitely check it out. It is streaming on Peacock right now. If you are new to the channel, I post every Saturday. You can hit that follow button, like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your mom. Stay horror. Check out Peacock's original TEACUP. It's a lot of fun. If you're into extraterrestrials, if you're into space films, if you're into sci-fi, if you're into horror, suspense, it's a good one if you're into that stuff. So I enjoyed it. Maybe you enjoy it too. And until next time, I'm Lurch Frank Wilkes. Stay horror. Be excellent to each other. Have a great weekend, you fucking nerds.